In a grand hall nestled between narrow European streets and old bookstores, the city's most elite chess club held its annual exhibition match. Rich mahogany walls echoed with laughter and strategy, and golden chandeliers lit the room where masters sat in silence, thinking, anticipating, calculating. It was a cold winter evening, and the guest of honor was none other than Grandmaster Viktor Dragunov, a man with an unbeaten streak for over a decade, feared and revered in equal measure. Everyone had gathered to watch him play a series of blitz games against 10 selected opponents. Only 9 names had been called. The 10th seat, the one closest to the Grandmaster, remained empty. And then, the doors opened. She walked in. A woman, middle-aged, wearing a simple gray shawl. No designer labels. No press. No entourage. Just a cloth bag slung over her shoulder and a faint smile on her face. Her name was Lina. Nobody knew her. The announcer even paused, thinking there had been a mistake. Some laughed softly. Others raised eyebrows. The invitation had been opened to the public for one final wild card slot, and Lina had arrived early that morning, waiting silently at the gates. No one took her seriously. Until now. The room chuckled as she approached the board. "Is she lost?" someone whispered. "Maybe she came to watch, not play," another smirked. Even Viktor Dragunov gave a polite, amused nod. "Shall we play?" he said, with the kind of confidence only years of dominance could give. Lina sat down, placed her cloth bag gently on the floor, and took out an old wooden chess clock chipped and worn at the edges. The pieces were set. Dragunov had the white pieces. He opened with e4, the king's pawn. Fast. Sharp. Aggressive. Lina waited. The room expected her to fumble, to panic, to knock over the pieces. Instead, she calmly responded with c5, the Sicilian defense. Eyes narrowed. Dragunov leaned forward slightly. The Sicilian? A surprise. Not a beginner's move. But still, the audience was unconvinced. Maybe she memorized an opening, they said. Maybe it was luck. By the 5th move, Dragunov's brow furrowed. By the 8th, he stopped smiling. By the 10th, the room went silent. No one laughed anymore. She wasn't just responding, she was setting traps. Forcing complications. Dragunov found himself thinking harder than usual. His hand hovered above the board longer. His rhythm, once like a machine, was faltering. A journalist in the corner began scribbling notes. A live stream viewer count quietly began to rise. "Who is she?" someone finally whispered aloud. No one had an answer. Lina said nothing. She made her moves, pressed her clock, and looked nowhere but the board. Dragunov's position began to crumble. One pawn. Then a knight. Then a tempo lost on a critical diagonal. He leaned back and stared at her, not in arrogance, but in curiosity. But she didn't flinch. The clock ticked. Tension grew. And then she sacrificed her queen. Gasps echoed across the room. Even Dragunov froze. But 5 moves later, the sacrifice made sense. The sacrifice was the game. It opened up his kingside, exposed his defenses. Lina's bishop sliced through the position like lightning. Rook to f7. Knight check. Pawn promotion on the a-file. The Grandmaster was in trouble. He stared at the board. He stared at her. The woman in the gray shawl had done what few could. She had dragged him into a corner. And the game wasn't over yet. Dragunov paused the clock, raised his hand gently, and said, "May I ask, where did you learn to play like this?" Lina looked up for the first time. "My grandfather taught me," she said. "We used to play by candlelight during power cuts. He was never a grandmaster, but he beat one once." The room sat frozen in awe. "Do you still play in tournaments?" Dragunov asked. Lina smiled. "No. Life got in the way." But before he could ask more, she gestured to the board. "Your move, Grandmaster." Dragunov chuckled softly this time, not in arrogance, but respect. And they played on. The audience, once amused and dismissive, now leaned in with bated breath. Phones out. Cameras rolling. Journalists typing furiously. A new story was being written not on paper, but square by square, across a checkered battlefield. And Lina. She wasn't finished. She had only just begun. The board had become a battlefield. Lina's queen sacrifice was not just bold, it was prophetic. It revealed the deeper truth. She wasn't just playing chess. She was telling a story. Every move she made showed history, depth, struggle, victory earned through hardship. The kind of thinking that comes not from elite academies but from long, quiet nights and minds shaped by survival. Dragunov the cold, calculated grandmaster had never seen lines like these. He leaned into the board now, studying it like a riddle. His breathing, once slow and calm, had turned shallow. The audience, once lively and laughing, had fallen into absolute silence. Even the sound of Lina pressing the clock felt thunderous. Tick, tock. 28 minutes into the match, Dragunov was already down to his final 60 seconds. Lina, meanwhile, had over 10 minutes on her clock, calm, composed, completely in control. He moved his rook, tried to create counterplay, but the position was collapsing. Lina's knights danced across the board like phantoms cutting off escape, building quiet pressure. And then, she moved her bishop. A pin. A trap. Dragunov blinked. He hadn't seen it. He realized, too late, that he had only one legal move left to delay checkmate. A ripple ran through the crowd. Even the referee looked stunned. Is he about to lose? Someone whispered. But before Dragunov could play his final desperate move, Lina did something unexpected. She gently placed her hand on the clock, paused it, and said softly, "You don't have to finish the game." It wasn't arrogance. It was grace. Dragunov stared at her, stunned. And then, he resigned. A grandmaster beaten. Not by another titled player. Not by a rising prodigy. But by a woman no one noticed when she walked through the door. A woman they laughed at. A woman they ignored. Until now. The hall erupted. But it wasn't applause, not yet. It was stunned silence. Reverence. The kind of awe that fills the space when something historic has just happened and no one knows how to respond. And then, slowly applause began. A soft clap from the corner. Then, another. Then the entire hall stood. Dragunov rose from his chair and extended his hand. "You have humbled me," he said. "Tell me, why are you not playing on the world stage?" Lina looked around. Her eyes shone not with pride, but with something deeper. Something sad. Something unfinished. "I used to," she replied. "Before the war. Before my husband disappeared. Before my son fell ill." Her voice cracked just a little. "I used to play for trophies. Now I play to remember who I used to be." Dragunov didn't know what to say. But the journalists did. One stepped forward. "Can we interview you?" Another. "Do you have a name we can publish?" Lina smiled faintly. "You can write whatever you like. But remember, the board is equal for all. It doesn't care about gender, money, age, or past." And with that, she picked up her old wooden clock, placed it back into her cloth bag, and walked away just as quietly as she had arrived. The cameras tried to follow. The reporters rushed to catch her. But she was gone. Like a ghost from another time. Like a legend in the making. That night, headlines flooded the internet. Unknown woman defeats grandmaster in stunning upset. Mystery player checkmates world champion, then vanishes. Chess community stunned by spectacular queen sacrifice. Clips of her moves went viral. Grandmasters around the world analyzed the game, stunned by its elegance. But no one could find her. Not right away. Until, days later, someone posted an old photo, black and white, of a teenage girl winning a regional chess tournament in Eastern Europe. Her name, Lina Varga. A forgotten prodigy from a country torn by conflict. Vanished from the scene decades ago. No records after 1998. Just silence. Until now. Weeks passed. And then, quietly, a new chess school opened on the outskirts of the city. No marble halls. No sponsors. Just wooden tables, hand-carved boards, and children from the poorest neighborhoods learning the game from a woman with kind eyes and an old cloth bag. Her name wasn't on the door. But every student there knew her name. Miss Lina. The one who taught them not just to play but to think. To wait. To trust their minds even when the world laughed. And somewhere, in a smoky cafe halfway across the world, another grandmaster sat watching Lina's game on his tablet. He paused the screen, rewound, watched the queen sacrifice again, then whispered, "She's back." A storm was brewing in the chess world. Articles poured in. Podcasts analyzed every second of the game. Commentators replayed Lina's strategy, calling it poetry in motion, and a ghost line only true masters would dare explore. But the biggest headline was, "Where is Lina Varga now?" Every federation, club, and grandmaster wanted an answer. A week later, a documentary team from Berlin traveled to the edge of the city where whispers of a new chess school had surfaced. There, surrounded by cracked buildings and wild grass, they found it. A one-room structure with peeling paint, old furniture, and a crowd of barefoot children inside, laughing, playing, learning. And at the center sat Lina. She wasn't surprised to see the cameras. "I knew they'd come," she said softly, brushing dust off a rook one of the kids had accidentally dropped. The interviewer, a young woman named Eliza, had done her research. "You disappeared in 1998. After winning the Eastern Bloc Invitational." "Why?" Lina looked up, eyes tired but kind. "Because chess stopped being a game for me. It became survival." Flashback, 1999, war zone. Lina and her husband, a political activist, were forced to flee. He disappeared during a night raid. Pregnant and alone, Lina crossed borders, begged for work, and eventually gave birth in a refugee camp. She never touched a chessboard again, not until her son, Daniel, grew old enough to ask, "Mama, why do you always draw squares in your notebook?" She didn't answer him then. But that night, she carved a chessboard onto the wooden floor of their tiny apartment. It was the only thing she still remembered how to do by heart. And Daniel, he learned fast. He had his mother's patience, his grandfather's instinct, her husband's fire. By age 9, Daniel was ranked top 3 in his school. But then tragedy struck again. Back to present day. "He fell ill," Lina said quietly. "Cancer. It took everything we had. The savings. The strength. I sold my clock, and when I got it back years later, the seller told me it had waited for me." She tapped the side of the old wooden chess clock, now neatly placed beside her. "I played again to remember, but I teach so others don't have to forget who they are." The documentary aired 3 days later. It spread like wildfire. Clips of Lina's interview went viral. Top comments read, "I'm crying. She's what chess is about: resilience, art, truth. Forget Netflix drama. This is real. Bring Lina to the Olympiad." Chess clubs around the world sent donations to her school. Old grandmasters sent handwritten letters. Companies offered sponsorships, all of which Lina gently declined. Except one. An invitation. An envelope arrived. Dark blue, sealed in wax. No sender name. Inside, "You are formally invited to the Grandmaster Summit in Reykjavik, Iceland, the site of legends. You will play one match, one board, one opponent. Broadcast worldwide." Below it, in careful handwriting, "We've waited long enough. Kaspov." Her hands trembled. The name carried weight. Not Garry Kasparov, but Mikhail Kasparov, current world champion. Young, ruthless, undefeated, and obsessed with breaking history. He had reviewed her game against Dragunov over 50 times. "Bring her to me," he told his manager. "She won't come," the manager warned. "She's not playing for titles. Kasparov smiled coldly. Then we'll give her something else. Lina's dilemma. That night, Lina sat in her small school with Daniel's old chessboard on her lap. The children had gone home. The sun was setting. And she stared at a position mid-game, the one Daniel last played before the hospital took him in. She touched the knight, moved it gently, and whispered, "All right, just one more game." As Lina boards the flight to Iceland, her first flight in 20 years, the world buzzes. Commentators prepare. Media hypes the match as grace versus glory. But Lina, she doesn't care for titles. She doesn't seek revenge. She's only playing for one thing: to finish the game Daniel started. And to remind the world that genius can wear gray shawls and walk silently through history until the moment she chooses to return. The sky above Iceland was pale and cold. Snowflakes drifted across the black volcanic rocks as a sleek black car pulled up outside the Hall of Legends, Reykjavik's most prestigious arena, the very same place where Bobby Fischer once played Boris Spassky. But today, it would witness something rarer. Lina Varga versus Mikhail Kasparov. A woman who vanished from the chess world for 2 decades. And the reigning champion, obsessed with perfection. The world was watching. Over 30 million live viewers. 400 journalists. Every chess grandmaster, streamer, and analyst had their eyes locked on one board. A simple woman with an old wooden clock. And the most feared player in modern history. Inside the hall, Kasparov sat down first. Young, cold, calculated, dressed in a tailored black suit. His gaze like ice. He tapped his fingers against the table rhythmically. He wasn't nervous. He was waiting. And then, the door opened. Lina entered. Same gray shawl. Same cloth bag. Same quiet grace. She walked past the cameras, the whispers, the blinking lights, and sat opposite him. No fear. No show. Just stillness. Kasparov looked at her, curious. "I've studied all your games," he said. "I haven't played many," Lina replied. "That's what makes you dangerous." She smiled faintly. "I'm just here to finish a game. The game begins." The clocks were set. Lina had white pieces. D4. Solid. Quiet. But beneath it, intention. Kasparov responded with the Nimzo-Indian sharp, precise, mathematical. For the first 20 moves, they played flawless classical chess. Kasparov attacked Lina's center. Lina defended calmly. The audience held their breath. She was holding her own. No, she was guiding the game. And then, move 24. Lina paused. Moved her pawn forward. A quiet push. But Kasparov froze. It was the same line she used against Dragunov. A rare variation long forgotten, buried in old Soviet notebooks. But this time, she had improved it. A theoretical novelty. A new move. Never played in history. Kasparov's mind raced. He stared at the board, then at her. "You prepared this?" he asked. "No," she replied softly. "My son did." Flashback to years ago, Daniel lying in bed, pale, weak, drawing chessboards in a battered spiral notebook. Studying old Soviet games. Creating new variations. One day, he showed Lina a move, a strange, subtle push that didn't make sense. Until now. Until this moment. His idea. His legacy. The turning point. Kasparov played quickly but wrong. He was out of theory. Lina sacrificed a rook for position. The crowd gasped. Kasparov thought he could capitalize. But 2 moves later, trap. She had seen 10 moves ahead. He lost his queen for a rook. The champion rattled. His face hardened. He stood up. Walked around the table. Ran his hands through his hair. Sat back down. But Lina, unmoved. She placed her hand on the clock. Tick. Silence. Tick. The endgame approached. And it was brutal. She was not just winning, she was teaching. Move 49, checkmate threat. Kasparov had 90 seconds left. The board was a wreck. His king, exposed. Lina's bishop pair, unbreakable. And then she moved her pawn. A promotion threat. Kasparov had no defense. None. He stared at the board. And for the first time in his life, he resigned. The room exploded. Applause. Tears. Disbelief. Commentators screamed. She's done it. The Queen of Silence dethrones the King of Precision. History has just changed. But Lina didn't celebrate. She stood, nodded politely, picked up her wooden clock, and whispered, "Thank you, Daniel. Game finished." Aftermath. The clip of her final move trended for days. Chess clubs around the world renamed themselves after her. Kasparov, humbled, publicly praised her. "She is the greatest mind I've ever faced." A statue of Lina and her wooden clock was erected outside the Reykjavik arena beside Fischer's. But Lina disappeared once again. A quiet room in a quiet school. A child asks her, "Miss Lina, will you ever play again?" She looks at the old clock, the one Daniel touched. She winds it gently. Tick. Smiles. Maybe. But only if the world forgets again. The camera pans out. Sunlight filters through broken windows. Children surround her, laughing. And in the background, another child draws a strange move on a scrap of paper. The beginning of the next story. Lina Varga didn't come for applause. She didn't want trophies or glory. She came for closure to finish a game her son never could. And in doing so, she changed the world. People had laughed when she sat at the board. But when she stood, silence fell and history was written. She reminded the world that genius doesn't always wear a crown. Sometimes, it wears a gray shawl and walks with quiet grace. She didn't just win. She awakened something. In children. In forgotten players. In doubters. And maybe, the greatest move she ever made wasn't on the board. It was giving others the courage to make theirs.